gentlemen, may I have your attention, please? The show starts in 3, 2, 1, go.
Good morning, CaneSport. It's January 9th, 2024. I'm Gary Ferman, the publisher of CaneSport.com. This morning by managing editor Matt Shodell as we discuss the news of the day, which means that the news of today is Miami signed a quarterback out of the transfer portal, and his name is Reese Poffenbarger. Okay, and, people were doing their usual thing and making plays on his name and stuff, but his name is not Cam Ward, and I know that has some people rattled, Matt Shodell. You did a deep study into Reese once we had him on our radar several days ago and thought that he might end up a Miami Hurricane. So there is nobody more qualified than you to comment on his skill set and what he might bring to the table. Should the Miami fan be excited about this pickup or not excited?
Well, let's start at the beginning, which is fans. Because let's face it, you want to have some excitement and some enthusiasm around the program, right? Off of a couple of not great years. So you'd think Miami gets its quarterback, gets its quarterback, that everyone would be so excited. Not quite the case. Somebody on our website yesterday asked how much we have to pay him in NIL, and somebody responded that he's paying us to take him. You mentioned Harry Potter jokes. People think, people that are hard of hearing think Hufflepuff and Poffenbarger sound the same.
This guy is a member of their team now, okay? You're a Canes fan. This guy is a Miami Hurricane now. Like, why knock him at all when you haven't even seen him yet?
People are saying he looks like a pickleball player. I don't even know what that means. I mean, people aren't even pronouncing his name right. It's pronounced Kirby Freeman. No, but in all honesty, it's, you ask if he's a great take, a good take, a bad take. I don't know. It's so hard. It's like looking at a high school player and trying to say in 3 years is going to be great at a major program, but condense that into 1 year, because he didn't have great players around him. He didn't play against great competition. So who knows? You can look at his stats.
You're so right. I can't believe I agree with you on something, but oh my God.
I'm always right. I mean, just because you don't agree doesn't mean this is the one time that you happen to be right. So, fans can say he's going to be great. Fans can say he's going to be awful. The truth is it could be both. It could be either, could be neither, could be neither. Make up whatever words you want, because I don't even think Mario Cristobal knows. You look at the measurables. I don't think they took him, by the way. I don't think they took him because of his measurables. I don't think they took him because he's 6 foot and 199 pounds and can run a little bit and can throw with a little bit of success and has a decent arm. I don't think that's why they took him. I don't think they took him because they need a number in spring. You don't want to only have 3 quarterbacks. By the way, Miami now has 3 quarterbacks on the roster who have all started college football games. Woo-hoo! I can't remember the last time that happened. Maybe I can. But I think they took him because he is a Mario Cristobal guy. And when I say that, Mario Cristobal isn't only about, okay, can he play? And then we'll take him. Mario Cristobal is also very much about what the intangibles are. How hard is he going to work? How hard is he going to push everyone around him? How is he going to mesh with the program? I spoke to him. From what I can tell, I'm the only reporter who spoke to him. And I can't tell you how impressed I was. I talked to Gary after I got off the phone with Reese, and I said to Gary, I've covered this team dating back to Butch Davis era, and I don't remember getting off the phone talking to a quarterback or going to a press conference talking to a quarterback and coming away feeling like, man, this guy is really impressive and probably smarter than I am, because I have a very high self-esteem, obviously. I mean, look at this, how can you not? He was beyond impressive. And the first, I asked him a couple of questions. He berated me at one point for not knowing how many scholarships are at the FCS level. Apparently it's 63. That's what he told me. I'm going to go with that as fact because who am I to contradict him? He also told me at one point not to misquote him. You know, he was basically running the interview. He was asking me the questions. He wasn't asking me the questions, but he was telling me in a very nice way, by the way, how to be a good reporter. And I probably should have done my homework. He's probably right. I should have known how many FCS scholarships there are. I probably should have known before I talked to him that he was a walk-on at Old Dominion, which I did not know. I don't know if other people knew that. I don't think it was common knowledge. Maybe it was, maybe it wasn't. I don't know. And then I was dumb enough to say, so, you know, because then I was shocked. And then I'm like, so were you a walk-on at Albany? And he's like, no, I wasn't a walk-on at Albany, you know. So anyway, but he said, but he had a walk-on mentality because he had to compete with 3 other guys to start at Albany. And I can't, you know, he is a much better reporter than I am. He probably would write a much better story than I did. As a matter of fact, I sent him the story and I took down the paywall for him, which was very nice of me because he told me his father apparently is a very successful entrepreneur and his mother played major college sports or was very successful in Missouri, I think he said. I didn't put that in the story. But I was nice enough to take down the paywall for him so he could read the story. And I said, you know, go ahead. You know, I want to, you know, here's the story we wrote about you. Thank you so much for your time. You know what he responded afterwards?
What did he respond?
Absolutely nothing. He didn't respond. He didn't say thank you. Oh, such a nice story. Because he's better than me. When you're better than someone else, when you're like at this level, like the God level, and like Noah is down here, like, you know, he'll go build your ship, Noah. Go put the animals on it. I don't need to waste my time on you. You know, I'm too busy with the flood. This guy's too busy with the flood to thank me for his story. And you know what? I appreciate that. He's probably lifting weights, learning the Miami playbook. What does he need to spend 10 seconds in his time thanking Matt Shodell for making the story free for 10 minutes so he could read it, you know? It's the whole Mario Cristobal philosophy. How you do anything is how you do everything. Media is the media. Leave them alone. Who cares? Don't worry about the outside noise. And by the way, he had a great answer when I asked him he has so many great quotes. You guys can read the story, but when I asked him his goals at Miami, stupid question, right? Why would you ask a stupid question like that? He immediately went to how, you know, he wants to be a builder at Miami. He wants to build friendships. He wants to build chemistry in the quarterback room. He praised Emory Williams and Ja'Carri Brown and said he wants to make those guys his buddies. And they want to win together. He wants them all to win together. He doesn't want to come in and with any sort of preconceived notions against him, about him, whatever. He said he's been in situations where the room hasn't been great. He doesn't want that. He is all about winning. He's all about just making himself and the team the best it can be. And there's a reason he grew up and his idol was Baker Mayfield. I mean, that's how he's patterning himself. He was a 5'9" quarterback as a junior in high school, grew 2 inches and added 45 pounds, and wound up getting a walk-on opportunity at Old Dominion with a Penn State coach who took over there who had, you know, sort of liked him a little bit. And now he's at Miami. I mean, who could have figured, except for his high school coach, who we also did a story with yesterday. So it's a great story. And that's what I posted on the message board yesterday. Like, all you people who are like so disappointed and upset, you know, get some Albany guy who doesn't seem like he's all that, and he's small, and he's not even De'Ara King. You know, he's like half a De'Ara King or whatever in people's minds. And maybe he is. But you know what? How do you not root for a guy like this? How could you ever say anything negative about a guy like this? He was a walk-on at Old Dominion, and he worked himself into a full scholarship spot at the University of Miami. If you don't love that story, and maybe he won't work out, guess what? All you people out there love Ja'Carri Brown. You should be so happy that if you think this guy's no good, because now Ja'Carri might be the starter. You know, if some other guy doesn't get a waiver, if there's not other great guys in the portal, Ja'Carri might be your starter next year. Who knows? So all the Ja'Carri Brown lovers out there should be celebrating this, you know. But instead, everyone seems very upset and very disheartened. And we could have had Cam Ward. Yeah, Cam Ward was a free agent. And someone asked me if somebody posted also, you know, is Reese, whatever, Hufflepuff a free agent? And they put a laughing emoji with the tears and everything because it's so funny or whatever. But I thought they were tears of crying because it's not right. It's not right. People should be supporting this young man, rooting for this young man, and saying, you know what, let's see what happens. And people want to trust the coaches. He actually said this to me. He said, because I said to him, I said, look, people want to know, FCS to this level is a very difficult transition. They want to know, like, what are your thoughts? How hard is it going to be? Do you get upset when people say, oh, but you're from FCS. How can you be any good here? And he had a fantastic answer. And essentially, at its core, what his answer was that if you're saying that as a fan, you don't believe in Mario Cristobal and his business. Because Mario Cristobal picked me.
Right.
Mario Cristobal picked me. So if you're going to say I'm not good enough for the Miami Hurricanes, and you're saying Mario didn't do it right and isn't the right person for the job. And I thought that was a fantastic answer. Like I said, he's much smarter than either of us, Gary. Both of our heads combined, even with your limited intelligence, in addition to my vast intelligence, he's still like way above that. He really was
way up there.
Really impressive guy. Really impressive.
Well, we obviously take a very deep dive into Reese, and it's all on the website today. If you haven't seen it yet, look at it. Read all the stories. I think you'll watch the videos that we posted with the stories. I think you'll have a better feel for what exactly Miami picked up here. Look, he comes from Albany, so immediately people are going to say, Albany, why are we taking the quarterback from Albany? He's 6 foot tall. So immediately people are going to say, why are you taking a quarterback that's 6 foot tall? And I'm going to be honest and answer those questions. And if Miami needs quarterbacks, he is now the 4th quarterback man on the roster. I mean, when you look at, Jacurri and Judd and obviously Emery, you really want 5. And I wouldn't rule out a 5th coming in here at some point. I would be very surprised if they promised Reese that he would be the only quarterback recruit that they took. They need quarterbacks in this program. They need competition. They need quarterbacks for practices. And I think that they're out to solve that problem. And it has not been easy, and it has not gone according to script. And by any stretch of the imagination, I don't think anybody would dispute that. They may not be happy about it. They may have thought it would be a little bit different, especially those that participated in running the quarterback that now shall not be named, because if I name him, I get blistered all over the internet. But I'm sorry, it's a sore subject, but I mean, be careful what you wish for sometimes. And Miami's in a tough spot right now, quarterback. And so they went and got this kid from Albany. And, let's do a little bit of a deep dive right now, Matt, for the purposes of the show into him. I'm going to pop some video up on the screen and give the people a little bit of information on him. He's, like I said, he's 6 foot, 210 pounds. He had an 84.0 overall grade, 81.2 passing grade this past season from Pro Football Focus, which is decent, okay? Early on, he had problems with deep throws. This past year, they gave him a 90.6 grade on 20-plus yard passes. You have to qualify all of this by the fact that, he's playing against Fordham. He's playing against New Hampshire. He's playing against Rhode Island. He's playing against Stony Brook. He's playing against Monmouth. Okay, so, and his team lost 59-0 to South Dakota State in the last game of the season. So, there's a million ifs, buts, question marks about Reese. The Puff and Barter. There's just no doubt about that. We're not going to sit here and oversell it and make any proclamations of what we think is going to happen when he gets to Miami. It would be crazy for us to do that. And but we are going to treat him with respect. He's a Miami Hurricane now. And it's not like he hasn't played some college football. He does bring some experience here and has had some decent games, at times. At other times, the stats are not really impressive in some games. He played against Baylor. They lost 69-10. He completed 13 to 26 passes for 150 yards. He played against Marshall. He completed 22 of 38 passes for 194 yards in that game. He played against Hawaii. All these were losses, by the way. Against Hawaii, he hit just 10 of 31 passes for 93 yards. So there's nothing earth-shattering here, Matt. But obviously, Shannon Dawson, Mario Cristobal, probably Lonzo Highsmith saw enough that they feel he can be one of their 4 or 5 quarterbacks, and they'll see where the chips fall after he gets here. I just played some of his highlights. I gave you the nuts and bolts. When you watch his tape and you see him actually performing in a college football game What goes through your mind?
You're asking me?
Yeah, I'm asking you.
So I nothing. That's what goes through my mind. Nothing. Again, I don't care. I don't care about this stuff. Like I went through and I posted a story on him. What I do is I don't go through highlight tapes. I like to look at a particular game, and it's hard to find games on Albany, full games. I don't like to watch, just a few great plays here and there. So I did find one game. I can't remember which one it was that I put on the story. One of the stories we did on him that Albany was playing. And there's some good moments and some bad moments. I did put a couple of his interceptions in there, which weren't great. But he does protect the ball, and he does run really, really well. He's very fast. But there was a pass down the middle. He threw it. The wide open guy throws the ball behind the guy. It's off his hands. There are some consistency problems he has with his accuracy. And then there's some times where he's just fantastic. So if maybe a little tweaks here and there, he can be really, really good. Again, it's just so hard to tell. So I don't care what you show me on the screen or what he does.
All right, so then let me put it in these terms. Would you agree that he's probably ahead? Probably not as good as Emory Williams, for example.
He's not as good as Emory Williams. I guess if you were asking a college coach right now, and he has to take one of those two, who is he taking? He's taking Emory Williams.
Right.
But right now, this coming season, who's the better starter at Miami? It might not be Emory Williams. Emory Williams might be really, really good in 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure he's really ready next year, because I'm a big believer that you can get better from year 1 to year 2, year 2 to year 3, blah, blah, blah. But where you start, there's a certain curve that's just the average curve for how much better you're going to get each year. I can't do it up here, but it's not like bam and then straight. It's a slow curve. And where you start could be here, or you could start up here, or you could start up here. And Emory's not starting at the highest level. You look at Drake Mays of the world and things like that. Those are guys who right away, okay, they're here and they're just going to keep getting better. He's more down here because he had inconsistency. And yeah, Emory played fairly well for what he was asked to do, but he wasn't asked to do a heck of a lot. And there's a reason for that, because coaches knew he couldn't do it, right? You don't ask a player to do something he can't do. Now, you can ask Reese, I'm not going to say his last name. You can ask Reese to do a lot more right now, probably, than you could ask Emory and maybe even Jakari, because now we found out Jakari apparently was very slow to pick up the offense, and that's why he needed to redshirt. Not because he couldn't do it physically, but because he just didn't understand what the hell was going on, which is a little troublesome to me. But that's what we were told. So, and then the other interesting thing to me is they went with Reese instead of Jordan McLeod. And I think Jordan McLeod would have cost more money. Jordan McLeod has a couple of SEC teams coming after him. It's not Western Kentucky, which is who Reese really was choosing between Miami and Western Kentucky. And so I'd be curious to know if a little bit of this was a sort of a money issue, and hey, we got to save a lot of money because maybe there'll be another great portal quarterback. And that they weren't sold. Obviously, they weren't totally sold on Jordan McLeod or Reese, because they went after 2 other guys that they really, really wanted. And this was the next guy up. So basically the third choice at this point. And it wasn't in a window that really had a ton of top guys that you'd say, oh my gosh, even the national experts are this was not a great transfer portal class, so to speak. And who knows what'll come along the next one. But, so I talked to McLeod and actually held the story because we were waiting to see what Reese did. And, I think McLeod would have picked Miami. He was going to visit Miami this coming weekend if Reese didn't commit this week. So Jordan was the next guy up. And I'm not sure Jordan isn't on paper, James Madison more talented than Reese is. Fans can debate that. I know some fans are torn, but obviously Miami coaches did what they did. I just at some point, I'm going to have to ask Mario or somebody whether they actually had both those guys pretty even on their board and just one was a little less expensive, or they really thought Reese was head and shoulders above Jordan, because they could have probably gotten either of those guys, honestly. It's just talking to Jordan, he sounded really high on Miami, just was waiting on Reese.
Yeah, so this will be interesting to see how it plays out. We can't begin to predict it. You got Emory Williams coming off of injury. We don't know. There's a hope he'll be in spring practice, but we don't know that he will be. You got Jakari sitting there. Certainly can't make any predictions there. And you got John Anderson coming into the program, and the only prediction I feel comfortable making is he will not start as a true freshman. So I still think Miami could have one move left at this position, and we will see what happens. But at least there's progress in that regard at that position on the roster, and we'll see where that goes. So we break it down from every angle. We talk to the former coach who gives us some perspective on Reese Poffenbarger. We talk to Reese himself. We analyze his game. So, like I said, you can check that out on the website. All right, we got a few other things on the website today. Basketball season continues to march onward. Spoke to Jim Larinaga yesterday. We'll be speaking to him again today, so you got that to look forward to. Miami hosts Louisville on Wednesday night. Matt, your thoughts? You got a chance to cover a game the other night, and then Miami went and they lost an overtime game at Wake Forest. But I like the direction that this team is going in. I think they are getting better. I think they missed, Muga Poplar might be their best player. They played without him the last two games. But you've gotten a chance to get up close to these guys. What would your opinion be on the state of Miami basketball right now?
My opinion is nobody cares that's watching the show. Unfortunately, because it's a fun team to watch. So I'm going to talk about them for 2 minutes.
We'll include them for a couple minutes.
I'll talk about them for 2 minutes. It's interesting. Like sometimes teams lose their best player and they play better as a team because they know they have to step up versus sort of saying, hey, he'll get it done. I just got to do this and that. I don't have to do too much. And I think Keyshawn George has really stepped up really nicely to the point that I wouldn't be surprised if he winds up starting when this team's fully healthy. Because if you want to get your best five on the court, he's one of them. I mean, there is no doubt about that.
Benson Joseph's got to go back to the bench. I don't care what kind of blow that'll be to his ego. He's got to go back to the bench.
Yeah, that's what I was about to say. I agree 100%. And the good news for Miami is, they're banged up. They got 3 guys with ankle injuries. I guess they haven't heard about wearing like ankle tape or ankle braces. It's a new invention. So, I'll mention it to Jim when we see him later today. But no, that stuff happens. And the good news is they're playing a pretty bad Louisville team and then an okay but not great Virginia Tech team the next couple of games before Florida State and then Syracuse. So, they'll have some time potentially to not have to really stress out. Like if I think Miami will beat Louisville at home, even if they have to rest Nigel Pack another game, even if they have to play Wooga just 10, 20 minutes, just get him sort of back in game shape, whatever. I don't think that's a big deal. And I think that might be smart to do because these ankle injuries tend to linger. And it's not great when the only way to fix them, honestly, is to rest them. You're playing every 2, 3, 4 days. You're not giving your joint time to rest, and you treat it after every game. You treat it every off day, but it's not ideal. You really want guys to be 100% at the end of the season, and nobody is.
Forrest was insane the way those guys were good. I thought a couple of them, Nigel Pack, Norchad Lemire, when they went down with those ankle injuries during the game, I thought they were dying. I mean, and
also, by the way, remember, I don't know how many ankle injuries you've had, but I've had plenty. It's worse the next day. Like, it might hurt when you do it, but you can do some stuff to play on it at that time. But the next morning after you sleep on it, it's really bad usually. It swells up. Sometimes it gets black and blue. That's when you have a problem. It doesn't swell as much immediately unless it's really an awful injury, and then you're going to be out for a couple of weeks for high ankle sprains. But these types of injuries, you can play through them. It's not pleasant. You don't play 100%. You don't have your usual explosiveness, and that's really why I think I get it. Miami has to make the tournament. They have to do well, but I don't even mind sacrifice. It's like the Miami football program the last 2 years. I'd rather sacrifice a win or two to really make the team great within a couple of years. It's like if you have to sacrifice 1 or 2 games potentially, because you still might win them, to get your guys 100%. Like I'm all in on that instead of having your guys struggling through at 80% all year and then not 100% at the end of the year. Like I'm all in on that. And I don't know what they're going to do because Jim's had injury problems in the past, but not like this with a little ticky-tack stuff. It's usually stuff where they're out for a long period of time. So I'm curious to see how he handles having 3 guys all with twisted ankles at the same time.
All right, so basketball against Louisville on Wednesday. You got that to look forward to. We obviously continue to have recruiting coverage on the site. The new cycle beginning 2025. Miami pointing to a big junior day on the last weekend of this month. There's also going to be the Battle Miami 7-on-7 tournament in town that weekend. So the weekend of I think it's 27th is going to be huge recruiting news weekend. We are already starting to gear up for that. We're already doing stories on some of the kids that might be coming to junior day. And one of those is on the website today with 4-star defensive lineman Jalen Wiggins. You can check that one out. And we will continue to preview those guys moving forward here as we count down to junior day, which is when the 2025 recruiting cycle really kicks into gear. But that's going to do it for today for Good Morning CaneSport. New quarterback, obviously dominating the news cycle here. And apologies, but we just don't really know what to make of this pickup. And, we're not going to go out there too hard on it. But we will give you, as we do, an enormous amount of analysis, which we did. And you can formulate your own opinions, and we want to see what those are on the message boards at CaneSport.com today. So looking forward to see what you guys think of Miami's new quarterback, Reese Poffenbarger. If you like this show, like this channel, and you're on YouTube right now, hit your subscribe and like buttons. It'll help us with the algorithms at YouTube. If you're not yet a subscriber to CaneSport.com, please come join our site, join our community of fans. We do not think you will be sorry. But that's going to do it for today. For Matt Shodell, I'm Gary Ferman. Thank you again for joining us, and we'll see you next time.